Welcome to Dark Tube, where the darkest nightmares come to life. Tonight, we take you somewhere no mortal dares to tread, beyond the veil of death, into the depths of hell itself. This is not just a story. This is a journey through fire, through suffering, through horrors beyond imagination. Stay till the end, if you dare. And before we begin, make sure to subscribe, because once you enter hell, there is no turning back. I never believed in hell. Not really. It was a word priests used to scare sinners, a myth to keep people in line. But that changed on the night I died. I remember the moment clearly. A car crash, a brutal impact. My vision went black, my ears filled with a ringing so loud it felt like my skull was splitting apart. Then, silence. Absolute silence. When I opened my eyes, I was not in a hospital. I was standing in a vast, endless void, a sky of swirling crimson and black above me, the air thick with the scent of burnt flesh and sulfur. My body felt weightless, yet I was sinking. Slowly at first, then faster. The ground beneath me wasn't ground at all. It was shifting, writhing, like millions of unseen hands clawing at my skin, dragging me downward. Then I heard it. A voice. No, voices. Whispers turning to screams, screams turning into guttural howls of torment. I was plummeting into the abyss. I hit the ground with a force that should have shattered every bone in my body, but there were no bones left to break. My flesh burned, my skin peeled, and I let out a scream that echoed through the empty void. I was at the entrance. Massive iron gates loomed before me, impossibly tall, twisted metal covered in eyes, living, blinking, watching me. An inscription burned into the metal in a language I didn't understand, yet the meaning filled my mind with cold certainty. Beyond the gates, a landscape stretched as far as the eye could see, a place of endless suffering, shifting between desolate wastelands and towering infernos. The sky above churned with shadows, shapes that moved with unnatural fluidity, whispering my name. Then the gates creaked open, and hell welcomed me home. I stepped forward into a city that should not exist. Towering spires of black stone twisted toward the sky, streets paved with bones, alleys filled with creatures that were once human, now unrecognizable, their bodies mutilated by their own sins. The air was thick with the scent of decay, yet there was something worse beneath it. A presence, an intelligence watching my every move. I wasn't alone. Figures moved in the shadows, their eyes hollow, their mouths stitched shut. They reached for me with skeletal fingers, their touch colder than death itself. I ran, blindly, desperately, deeper into the city, past rivers of boiling blood, past endless walls carved with the faces of the damned, each one screaming, their agony eternal. Then I saw him. At the center of the city stood a throne made of living flesh, pulsating, writhing, feeding on the souls of the condemned. And upon it sat a being that defied description. He was both man and beast, shadow and flame, his eyes twin voids that swallowed all light. His voice was not spoken but felt, a vibration that rattled my very soul. You do not belong here, yet. His grin was endless, his teeth too many to count. I tried to speak, but my voice was gone. My mind screamed with questions, but he already knew them all. Hell is not what you think, he whispered, leaning forward. It is worse, and you have only just begun. A gauntlet of suffering designed to strip me of everything, body, mind, soul. I was thrown into pits where the walls bled, and the air was alive with whispers of every regret I had ever buried. I was hunted by creatures that moved like shadows, tearing at my flesh, only for it to regenerate so the pain could begin anew. I walked endless hallways where doors led to nightmares from my past. Every mistake, every betrayal, every moment of cowardice replayed in excruciating detail, forcing me to relive my failures, to drown in the guilt and shame I had ignored in life. And all the while, the Demon King watched. I lost all sense of time. Hours, days, years? It didn't matter. I had become part of this place. But then I saw it. A door, unlike the others. Simple, wooden, slightly ajar. A way out. I ran, faster than I ever had. The city howled in protest. The sky itself split open, a storm of screaming faces swirling above. The ground crumbled beneath me, hands reaching, grabbing, trying to pull me back. I reached the door. I shoved it open. Light blinded me. I gasped, air flooding my lungs. I was back. The crash, the hospital, the beep of a heart monitor, nurses rushing, voices yelling. I was alive, but something was wrong. I looked down at my hands. The scars were still there, the burns, the wounds that should have healed. And then I heard it, a whisper, just behind me. Hell never lets go. I turned, and the world went black. Hell is not a place you go after death. It's a place that follows you back. If you enjoyed this nightmare, don't forget to subscribe to DocTube, because the next time you open your eyes, you might not be where you think you are. Sweet dreams, if you can still sleep.